everybody. I wanted to talk real quick about ISO and setting it yourself. You know, ISO is simply the sensitivity of the sensor inside your digital camera to light. And, you know, these days with digital cameras, we can control that. If you, for instance, shoot a lot of pictures inside of your kids and they're turning out blurry, or maybe you shoot a lot of pictures out on the town with your friends at the nightclubs or whatever. They're turning out a little bit blurry. You're not happy with them. Bump that ISO up. Stop relying on auto ISO. ISO is part of the exposure triangle. You have, of course, aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. So it's a very, very good place to start learning to be more creative and take more control over the final image outcome. If you are having that problem, you're getting a lot of blurry pictures inside or in any low light situation at all, try taking it out of auto ISO and bumping the ISO up. Maybe the best thing to do is to do an ISO test in a situation where you shoot a lot of pictures. Maybe a low light situation, and pick a couple of different spots and just take a series of 5 pictures at 100, 200, 400, 800, 1600, something like that, or start at 200, 400, 800, 1632, and just get those pictures. It doesn't matter of what. Try to shoot a picture of a dark area, with some dark and light in it, so you can determine the amount of noise that your camera sensor is producing at the higher ISO. Because the lower ISO speeds, you're not going to have much noise, but the higher numbers, you're going to have more and more noise. So it's good to know your equipment. It's good to know your particular camera, the sensor inside your camera, and at what point your camera starts producing so much noise that it almost becomes unusable. Some cameras may be 400, while others might be 3200. It's just, it varies so much that you either need to do a test like that, which is very, very easy, or at the very least get on a review site where they've done an ISO test. Look at your specific camera model and at least look at their results. It's really going to help you out. Get out of auto ISO. Even if you're a beginner or an intermediate and you've been relying on program mode or auto mode, put it in program and simply start setting the ISO yourself. Get out of auto ISO. It'll help you to understand exposure and to start understanding exposure. And once you start understanding it, then you can move on to the next step and start setting one of the other settings yourself until finally you have complete control over the exposure that you get and way more control, creative control over your pictures. It's a really good place to start. It helped me out a lot. And also, it's going to help you get better images. Depending on what camera you have, if you're in auto ISO, your camera may very well be choosing, too long of a shutter speed and giving you blurry photos. If you're having that problem, simply bump the ISO up a stop and see what happens. Look at the image that was blurry. Look what the camera chose as an ISO and take it out of auto and bump it up a stop. If it chose 200, choose 400 and shoot under the same conditions. And you're going to notice that that's going to bump your shutter speed up and your picture is going to be less blurry or not blurry anymore. So give it a shot. It's really helpful. It'll help you understand exposure, or at least start to. And like I say, this is for beginner and intermediate photographers who are just starting to try to grasp the exposure triangle and what each setting does, what effect it has. And it's a really good place to start. I think it's the best place to start, is setting the ISO yourself. So give it a shot. do that ISO test for your particular model, and hey, keep learning, keep shooting, and have a great day. Hope that helps.